What is happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. I'm excited for today. Got a couple of fellows that I've had the opportunity to be a part of their organization and their growth. I was just thinking about this. 2014, I think is when we got hooked up.
Yeah, probably.
Man, what a ride. Holy smokes. Yeah, when you start to look back and think about all the time and the adventures and the ups and downs, it's pretty cool to see. And I know we're going to dive into it, but for those of you guys tuning in, Coffee and Coaching is just that, man. We get to dive in with some pretty awesome people throughout the country and Canada, and I'm pretty excited in the future to have some folks on from all over the globe. But hey, it's Coffee and Coaching. Got my coffee here, and I'm sure you fellas do too.
Yep.
I had to. So for those of you that kind of in the know, we just relocated. It made a move. My coffee machines are not unpacked, so I've visited this cool little place called Coffee Jerks here in Edmond. Yeah, it's been good. What's up, fellas? How are you guys doing?
Great job. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys jumping in. Give a little background. Kind of where you guys are at, a little bit about yourselves, and then we're going to dive into some exciting news as far as production goes here in a minute.
Okay. Background, I got in real estate 2008, Kyle 2009. We kind of joined forces just a couple years after we got in, and we
was a client, right?
What's that?
One of you was a client for the other. Is that how?
Kind of. So it was a sign call. I was a sign call to Dan as I was looking for investment property, but I didn't have a job. I couldn't afford anything. I didn't.
Well, what the hell compelled you to call for an investment property with no job?
I read a book that said go buy apartment complexes, right? And so Dan had a sign outside of what I thought was an apartment complex, but it was just one condo. And so I thought I could buy an apartment complex, and I didn't. But that's how we got hooked up. And Dan's like, "Yeah, send me your resume. I talked to a lot of people." So I did. Next day, the broker gives me a call. He's like, "Hey, you want to be a realtor?" I'm like, "You offer me a job? Yeah, let's do it."
I need a job.
Yeah.
So Dan, go ahead. So 08, 09, 2010, joined forces. Kind of where did that kind of, how did that look in the beginning?
I mean, we came to work every day. Worked 8 to 10 hours, and it was like pretty old school. Phone book, just looking people up door to door, going to FSBOs, previewing properties. We weren't selling anything, but we're just prospecting all the time. And so it got ugly. I mean, we made it work. My first year, I didn't sell a house at all. But then we got into the HUD listings. We got some that were foreclosures, but then we got in and got registered as a HUD listing agent. And that helped out a lot. And so that got us, at that time, we had already kind of combined forces. But then that kind of catapulted us through that term, 2009, 10, 11. And then it kind of cut off cold turkey.
What was the decision to go that route with HUD properties and pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, REO? Because you guys got in deep into that market, right?
Yeah, as we're going around and previewing properties, because we had nothing else to do because we didn't have any clients. I was just looking around and I'm like, man, who has all the listings? And it's like, oh, the foreclosure guys do, right? And I'm like, how do you do that? So we just started digging into it, and calling banks and calling asset management companies, and that's kind of how we got into it to get things. So
no, that's awesome. So what was, so we're in that, we're doing that, we're starting to get business. What, kind of how long did that last? And then when did it start to kind of, oh shit, this is drying up, this is changing a bit?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was like 2014 or so when that cut off. They switched, they switched asset management companies, and we got the boot, right? Yeah. So, and the other ones weren't worth holding on to if we didn't have HUD. So then we're like, well, we're gonna have to do it normal style, right? Like back to standard sales. And so it was good. It was really good. And we kind of saw it at the time as a blessing, because it was just kind of when the market was starting to turn. And it served its purpose for getting us through the recession. But we knew that we would be able to be better off with standard sales, right? So it just forced us to do it probably, a few months earlier and get after it. Right?
Yeah.
It was like we were just starting to plan. We got to get into normal sales because the commissions are way better and it's easier to work on. And we're just grinding out for these low commissions. It's so much work. And it was like, I think it was like a couple of weeks later, like, hey, Best Assets lost the contract. That's who had the contract for HUD. It has to go to a smaller company because they've grown too big with all these HUD. And they're like, yeah, you're not going to be on it. And we're like, oh, well, I guess everything starts today.
Yeah. And I think we started working together. I think too, you guys maybe still had a couple of those accounts.
Yeah. And there's, I don't know, probably 8 different accounts out there that were just like onesies and twosies all over the place, but they weren't worth anything. They weren't worth the commitment if we weren't going to be in the REO stuff full time. So, and those just faded out.
So what are your thoughts, because you guys got to ride that market, you experienced it. Do you see those opportunities coming back around in the near future? And, if so, what would be your recommendation? Because you just said something right there that kind of said, if you're not going to be in it full time, it's not worth the commitment. What would you guys, based upon your experience, because you guys did that for what, 4 years full time. What would you say to somebody that's thinking about like, hey, maybe we need to look at this? Like, what would be that advice as those opportunities are they're going to start to come back around. So what would your advice be based off y'all's experience?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely come back around. In our area, I don't think it will be as strong as it was. And I also don't think the impact on pricing will be as significant as it was, just because of the huge demand. I think it'll be a little blip where prices will go down, but I don't think it'll be a drastic downturn. I think you'd have to look at it a couple of ways. It was a perfect spot for us to get started. Now I wouldn't do it because now we've built up that clientele, right? Now we've been in the business for 12, 13 years. And so the majority of our business comes from past clients and referrals. And they're much higher priced homes than foreclosures are. Sure. So for a newer agent, I think it would be a great opportunity to establish yourself.
Yeah,
I would align with somebody that's been in the REO business before that probably doesn't want to get back into it and help them walk you through it. But I would definitely do it if I was starting out.
Gotcha.
Or relatively new.
And I'd say back end context on that too. So because of what Kyle's talking about in our market, like Rochester, the city of Rochester, is our main hub. The clinic, Mayo Clinic here, just has a lot of people coming in and going. It's a teaching school, so they have a lot of residents that come and go, and they come here on purpose, buy and sell. So that helps us a lot. And the worst it ever got for us, I think 2009 or 10, 25% was the highest our market ever got for foreclosures and short sales. 25% of the market was foreclosure short sales, where like the metro, St. Paul, Minneapolis was at 70% at the time. A lot of the other bigger cities were like that. But what we ended up doing all the business was in all these smaller communities that were pushed outside of Rochester. So those little towns, we spent all our time driving out, taking photos, putting them in, uploading them, doing all the work reports, the updates for the relocation companies. So kind of what Kyle was talking about, like if you're new, the good thing is you get immersed in a lot of transactions and a lot of work. So you get to know everything. Plus it forces you to come up with a schedule and systems, because you're constantly doing the same things over and over again. And you just want to do them as fast as you can, because it's all about turning these out, getting them done, and just having that experience. So that's kind of what helped, because when we went from the transition of that background of the foreclosure short sales and then moved into, we had all these systems, like this is how we take a listing, and these are all the things, these are checklists. And we had it squared away where we take the photos, we'd upload them on our phone. You know, back then you had to like put the cord in to get the internet. But
develop the film.
Yeah, but it worked. I mean, and then you got it, so it's done. You don't drive back and then upload them later. Like things just happen quicker. So that helped us a lot once we transitioned over. We were just faster than most agents, because a lot of agents in our market at the time were just like coming out of like slumber. You know, they weren't really doing anything, and now they're getting into the regular market. And here comes us, and we've got all these systems, and you know, we're fast, and that helped out a lot too.
Yeah, man. It does. You know, that's what I always would tell people coming out of the transition, that, you know, the biggest challenge, right, with working those type of opportunities is that it forces you to be reactive instead of, you know, what can you stay proactive, but you can still be proactive with it, right? Hey, an asset comes on, just making sure, you know, nothing hits yellow, nothing hits red, keep it, you know, it's green, knock those deadlines, and, you know, carry that over into, you know, the retail side, to where now it's, you know, I mean, you still have those processes and you're staying proactive with them as much as possible. But I think that's, to me, what I've seen with agents is the biggest shift. Right now, you're so reactive, the business is coming to you. Now, what are we doing proactive to go get the business? And you guys did, you know, like you said, you know, you've built the database, you've built a business based on, you know, your brand, what you guys stand for, the value you provide. And you know, leading into last year, right? Last year was the best year that you guys have ever had. And we were just chatting before we went live. You guys have already done this year what you guys did all of last year, which was your best year ever, which is freaking awesome. And so Kyle, I know you kind of, you know, pay attention to the numbers out of the business. What's the percentage, right? You know, you said, hey, we're really built on past clients, people that know you, like you, love you, trust you. Like, what's the balance of that business? What does that structure look like?
Yeah. So we just hit that number. So that's great. But like for new clients, we're actually now with more team members being trained up, and now they're starting to produce. You know, a lot of their clients are brand new clients, right? They're internet leads, or somehow they're a lead of some sort.
Sure.
Right? So all those are pretty new. But for Dan and I, our past clients is probably closer to about 75% of our business. Probably more than that, actually. Probably.
So how, you know, somebody listening in, they're like, man, that's awesome. How do you get it to that point, and what do you have to do consistently to make sure that business is coming your way? And just to give some context, I mean, you guys, you know, broke $1 million in revenue last year. We're already over $1 million in revenue this year. So give some kind of, you know, I just want to give people kind of some context to, you know, when we say best year ever, I mean, it's breaking that million revenue mark. And, you know, that's a big milestone, especially when you're not in, you know, $500,000 and above price point market.
Right.
To be able to do that, it's pretty awesome. So what would you tell somebody is like, hey, you know, real estate in the future will always be a decision of trust, no matter how much disruption comes, no matter how the ease of, you know, tech and what tech's doing to try to disrupt it as much as possible. It'll still come down to a decision of trust. why your database is so prevalent, why it's so powerful, why it's so important. So what are you guys doing? What have you done, and what do you train your agents on to focus and grow and build their database of people that are going to be singing from the rooftops and sending people, y'all's way?
Right. So like you mentioned, like the disruptors are here, right? They want our money, right? There's a lot of money out there to be had, but an engineer can't engineer people's emotions. So as much as we think the realtor position will fall off the face of the earth, the reality is it really shouldn't be, because of people's emotions, is my thought. So what we have to do is stay in front of our past clients, right? The big things that we stress are community involvement and our past clients. So maybe you want to touch on the.
Well, yeah. Normal before COVID, like we just started rolling this back out again, was our past client referral events. And I know a lot of guys, John, that do that, and it kind of sucked when COVID happened. We just did our first one, which was a local baseball team game, and it was great. I mean, I think we kicked it out to everybody in our database, and it filled up within like 3 days. Like everybody RSVP'd and people wanted to get in. It was capped out. And it was great. We had a good event, a lot of great time with some past clients that got to meet our other clients, and it just was a great atmosphere to be in. Yeah. And we're going to keep rolling those out, but that's what we had been doing in the past, and it was great. We only do about 4 a year, 1 per quarter, and we kind of try to rotate from a family-based one. We've done like kind of a singles where it's just like husband and wife, or single person with some booze or whatever they want. We've done some intimate ones, we've done some outside ones, and we try to kind of balance it. So people that have kids, bring them to the movies. We do that in the wintertime because it's when it gets cold up here.
It's cold there.
And in the summertime, we get them outside so they can enjoy it. So like the baseball game is great. And so many people that were like, I know there's one couple that got like 5 kids and past clients, and they're like, thank you so much. We needed like a date to get away. It's like,
that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's so cool, man. And, there's another agent just yesterday, I was chatting with her. She just did her first event coming out of COVID, and just the overwhelming, thank you of gratitude from that is key. And, events, people are just craving it, right? Events are going to kind of drive our businesses, I believe, moving, into the next 12, 18 months. We talk about it on Agent Attraction. Events are the big thing for, trying to create awareness and increase headcount within our organizations, as well as clients, right? Being able to give back as a little thank you, reconnect, stay top of mind, continue to build the brand of value that we're providing to them is, creating those experiences, right? That's what people remember. And that's what people, latch onto. And when they think of real estate, they think of that experience, how they felt, and then that compels them to want to, share their experience with somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Part of our follow-up process too is our 34 touch program, where we got to touch past clients, 34 times a year. Events just give you a great opportunity to invite somebody, right? So with all the team members and everybody, that's the number one thing that we stress is, hey, reach out to every single past client, see how they're doing, if there's anything we can help with, and invite them to this event, right? Yeah. And it's so crazy, but like a lot of past clients I'll meet with, and they're like, we never made it to an event, but thank you for inviting us. We really appreciate that. That's why you're here today, to sell our house, right? Yeah. They don't even come, but they appreciate the invite. So,
yeah, it's just so powerful in that regard. It really is. So, yeah, I can't stress it enough. I mean, events are really the way to go, and piggyback on certain things, like you did the baseball game. Being able to establish and I mean, those tickets is not expensive, right? So, it's a small investment to be able to, and especially when your business is a lot of built on, word of mouth and client referral type of structure. It's an investment. It's no different than, and I know you guys invest, in some lead gen strategies as well, but yeah, it's really a key investment in the marketing and the growth strategy. It has to be part of the budget.
Yeah. And it's definitely the most fun, and it's the most profitable for sure.
Yeah. 100%. Right. So, we always use the rule of thumb within marketing and dollar allocation. We want our marketing and advertising budget to be 10% or less of revenue. So you guys at $1 million in revenue, $100K per year or less, and that should be continuing to grow. So like, what would be cool to look at is like, okay, well, hey, say we had that $100K budget 2020, and we maintain the same $100K budget in 2021, yet now we grow from 1 million in revenue to 1.5 million in revenue, and it's the same budget allocation, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you grow, and what grows is that bottom line, right? Where did that other 500K go, right? Because we maintained the same budget, we had more revenue growth. That number goes to the bottom line. So that's the game that we always want to play, right? We want to have that marketing allocation, and we want to hold steady with it, and we want to see that revenue continue to grow. So it's really, really cool to be able to do that. I was just thinking experience. I laugh at, shit, you guys have been in some pretty cool rooms being a part of Mastermind over the years. Share a little bit about that, right? Because you guys have invested a lot of money into coaching, into training, into events. Like share where, why you guys feel that's so important, and that you continue to make that investment, you continue to kind of pour into yourselves.
First, John, how much time do we have?
Okay. We're just talking about that, so I'll let Dan take that.
Okay, I'll start. You just jump in wherever. When Kyle and I, so in the REO thing, we'll go back to where we started, right? We're like, we didn't know what we're doing. We're like trying to come up with ideas. So it's like, we'd work all day, then we'd get together at night and be like, well, what about this? And we'd Google this and try to find stuff. It's like, we didn't have a mentor that was teaching us what to do. And we started to find out that everybody we talked to was like, oh yeah. And they'd give us all these half truths, because they didn't really want us to know what they know. Yeah. Because they're our competition. So like, we couldn't get a straight answer. It was all BS, and we'd figure it out later after we wasted money on something or time. And I was like, well, then I kept telling Kyle, we got to find like an old dude that used to be in real estate, that retired. They'll give us all his secrets because he wants someone to mentor, right? And then you find out that like all the old dudes in real estate are still selling. So they're still the competition, right? So I was like, this isn't working. And that's when we started going after coaching. Like, we have to pay somebody that's from outside of our area, that like will get us there. And I guess that was the first step. The second step was the mastermind. The mastermind was like, you remember that first one we went to, and I'm like trying to write stuff down. You're like, Dan, it's recorded. And I just like, it's like an influx of like all the answers to all the questions they wanted on level one.
That's what I was looking for.
And then it's like level 2 is there. And I'm like, wait, we're on level 1. And they're like, well, and then when you get to level 3, this is what you need to do. And you're like, oh my God. And I was just like, writing stuff down and asking people questions. And it was great. It's just like, it was hard to get there. Like, we just kept taking the wrong routes. And then once we found it, like, it was opening up all the knowledge that we needed. So,
yeah, I think so for sure. What, Kyle, interject on that a little bit. I know you got some.
Well, I mean, just, it was being in a room, like you want to hang out with people at your level, below your level, and above your level. And we were definitely below everybody else's level. So we're throwing the bone a lot, which is nice. And just seeing other people and what they like, really what they do, and then being able to implement it. It was like turning a light switch on. It really was what it was. And then you're surrounded by it. You're surrounded by success, right? So the only thing you know is success. So like, failure is not really going to happen. So it was being able to learn exactly what to do was phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, somebody just took out a lawnmower in a big weed field and just made a path, and they're like, "Oh, let's get on this."
Yeah. The one experience I think back to, was it Jackson Hole, to where you guys were on the hot seat? Was it that one?
Yeah.
And that room was incredible, right? You go back and you look at, we had Chep and we had Stewman, kind of heading that up. Todd Abrams was there as well, who owns Icon Meals. And you look at the caliber of people in that room. But to me, the biggest growth in that room was the two of you to be able to get up in front of that room and be vulnerable to share, right? To me, that's where the growth really, really happens, is when, we put ourselves in an uncomfortable situation to be transparent with these other people that were seeking, some feedback. And, that was a changing, kind of a transition of what that room used to be to what kind of the room is today. But yeah, to me, man, that's some guts right there.
Yeah. And we got lit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going easy on it, which is great. That's
It's exactly what we wanted. But
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good input.
To me, I mean, but that's what it takes, right? To be able to we need that hard truth from people that have, like, they're just like, let me just pour it, like, what, right? And being able to share that. So to me, that was so key in part of the process and part of the growth, because we did see a jump coming out of there.
Yeah.
And I think that's another lesson too, right? That we can translate in, is that you guys had a choice, right? You had these people giving that real feedback, and we could have done nothing, right? We could have just been like closed off, not listened and not absorbed it, but really, taking it in, okay, how do we need to make adjustments moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cause I mean, think about that. After that, we had our best year. We're on track, even a better year. Well, we already are having a better year. So it's just really, really cool to see, that investment and that growth and cause that's what it is, right? When we invest in code, it's investment. It's not an expense. And so you got to have that.
Oh, heavens no, I would never say it's an expense, right? It's just, it's like a necessary thing that to get you to improve you.
Yeah. So what are you guys, well, I want to ask this. So a lot of partnerships struggle, man. They don't sometimes just don't work. I'm pro partner. I've been in some great partnerships. I've been in some shitty partnerships. How do you guys, here we are 10 plus years later, you guys are still riding together, still working together, still in the grind together. What feedback do you guys have from your experience to say, hey, man, this is what works for us. This is what I would recommend if you are getting into a partnership. These are the critical things.
First off, a disclaimer quick. So Kyle and I are married to other spouses, like we each have a wife with kids. So this is a straight business relationship. I know a lot of times people have like a marriage relationship in the real estate agents, but we are not. But at the same time, our relationship is similar to a marriage where it's a lot of give and take, and there's stuff that we don't agree upon. Like we don't just walk in the office every day and like, hey, I got an idea. Great, let's do it. It's like, okay, we have to play devil's advocate. Even if we like the idea, we play devil's advocate with each other. So, but it's not like it's sunshine and rainbows and it's just like easy to do every day. We, like we're going through all the same stuff that you go through in a marriage, and the fact that we're talking about finances all the time. We're trying to talk about how to grow the business, also take time off, how to grow the team. There's just a lot of that. And it's not easy peasy all the time. We do get along really well, but I would say it's like a marriage. Like you get along with that person, but you still have your little fits and whatever. And even when, it sucks for both of you, market sucks, or currently we're not doing what we want to be, we're not at our goal, we still have to kind of pick each other up. And again, like same thing in a marriage, like a good part about that is, or a really good friendship, where it's like somebody's really sucking hind tit. You got somebody there to say like, man, I had this really shitty client and they're just a jerk. And they're like, and you can just blow it off. Cause that's the other hard part is you can't go home to your wife and be like, oh, I got this jerk client. And she doesn't want to hear that, Right. So, and they don't understand it either. So that's the other part.
And you have somebody to drink a beer with, a good beer, your wife usually don't drink the same beer. I would say that, the number one thing probably, like Dan and I didn't know each other before I called that sign, right? And what we did learn right away by working together is that we both worked very hard, right? So we worked next to each other for like a year before we joined forces. So we both knew that we were probably the two hardest working people in that office, just from hours that you put in, I guess. So maybe that's probably the number one thing to do. Like, you're probably not going to change somebody's mental work ethic as easy as you might think. So if you align yourself with somebody that's on the same page as you as far as how hard you're going to work, that's probably gives you a leg up. And then from there, really the most important thing is trust, right? Mm-hmm. So it's easy for us because, we've been together for 12 years, I guess, but 100% trust. So, and we can tell each other anything, right? Yeah. So that's the second most important. Well, that's the most important part. Yeah.
Do you think too, that you got, I agree, man. It comes back to the work ethic. So you guys both feel that each other are giving 100% every day, all the time. And so there's none of that. And I think that helps with the trust as well, right? It's like, there's no animosity there. Like, well, I'm working harder than him and vice versa. I mean, because you guys are still way deep in production. So, it's like, you guys are grinding hard each and every day. So yeah, I think that's key. So understanding some of those key traits and characteristics and values, essentially what we're talking about, right? There's shared values that you guys have. Is that what you look for, those shared values, as we look to grow the team? You're looking to bring team members on that have and possess those same values?
Absolutely. And that's probably the hardest part, because it's, when you interview somebody, it's hard to really gauge their values. Mm-hmm. But that's what we want, because people that are just like clients, they're so easy to get along with, right? Because they're similar to us. It's the same thing. If we can get another teammate on the team that's got our similar values, they do the same kind of thing we do, they're going to get along with us great. And we're going to be able to teach them, because those are the people that are going to listen to us as well. It's hard to lead somebody that thinks they're better than you or thinks they know more than you or something like that. Like, you can't teach them anything, right? So, but at the same time, we found, from talking to you and talking about all the stuff we were talking about a couple of years ago on the culture standpoint, is like, they have to be a good cultural fit. We can't bring somebody on that's a high producer that doesn't mesh with our values, but then also literally is like against it. And they're going to drive the people that are on the team that are a match to us. They're going to drive them away because we're not, because they come in and wreck our culture, basically.
Sure.
We can lead them out or lead them to be like us, one of the two.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, as we're continuing to grow and two, on the partnership side of thing, right? Like you said, you guys have family, kiddos. I know you guys like to get away, each have cabins, and, is that, also shared time together outside of the office? Is that another critical component, with a great business partnership?
So Dan got a cabin in Wisconsin, and I have one not very far away. Now it's like, we don't have that much free time to spend with our families. So we don't spend as much time together as we used to. And it's totally fine, because we know the time that we're spending outside of work is rejuvenating that family pillar, right? So uber important. And maybe that is another nice thing too. Like we're both going through the same levels of life at the same time. So we 100% understand each other, right? Whereas if, we're different ages or one had no kids or whatever,
Sure.
if one of us had no kids, like that person should be crushing the market, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, it is. I mean, you still have to have that time and to be able to get away to rejuvenate and, allow the creativeness to come back inside of us and allow us to make decisions faster instead of just being running on fumes all the time. It's not good for us, and it's not good for everybody else around us as well. Yeah, for sure. Right now, you guys are hitting, production marks that are the best in y'all's career. What are you the most excited about moving forward?
Let me go first.
Sure.
I think, there's a lot of good things that we've got, I think, that we're moving towards, but I would say like our 50-meter target is growing the team. And, we're excited about trying to get just a couple more agents on just to get us so we can quarter cap for a lot of the agents on the team. Like Kyle had said before, we've got a lot of agents that are just starting to produce, so if we can get them to that quarter cap mark right away, it's just better for them and just build that core capital up for them personally so they can keep advancing. And it also, there's a secondary part of that team building is that allows Kyle and I, once they're trained up, more time. Like we're always trading, at this point, we're trading time for money. So for us to be able to spend more time with our family, we're going to give leads to them. And so that's more leverage, and it's just spread out across more people, and it just makes it, much easier lifestyle afterwards. And we're still productive, and as they grow, it's going to get obviously cheaper for them and cheaper for us, and everybody's going to be happy. So that's kind of the close target for it right now. I'm excited about.
Yeah, it's a close target and the long target, right? Like we're in a position now where we can focus on that a lot more. And so that's really what we need to do. Which is also kind of hard because, it's like a train. When the train gets rolling, it's hard to switch tracks, right?
Yeah.
So, but we need to be focused on switching tracks is what the cool thing is, because we can do it now, right? So now we're sitting in a position where we'll be able to survive if we switch tracks.
Yeah. What for people listening in, trying to build a team structure, like what have been some challenges and that you guys have faced, and really kind of what we're starting to see that's working?
Well, I think with the team, like one of the biggest issues is like really getting them to buy into or understand and believe our beliefs. Like why the team exists. What is it for? What does it create? Because there's all the other, like old fashioned broker models that are set up. They're like, oh, we can give you a better cut. It's just like every other sales tactic. We got one thing that's good and that's what we're going to promote. And the grass is greener. We're going to do that. So we have to say like, these are all their programs. This is what they're going to tell you. The reason Kyle and Dan started this is because that's where we were. And we realized it was a dumb move. Like, look where your money's going. Look what's happening. Look why they keep you busy doing just medial stuff, because they don't want you to grow your team. They really don't. They don't want you to get big, because then you have leverage power and you're going to ask for a better commission from them. And that, so it's getting that through to them, getting them to trust us. And then the secondary part is really that training. So what are we continuously adding value to them? And the beauty of that is like, it's easy at the beginning. They just don't know what they're doing. So we train them. And then, like showing them the same path that we learned from all the other agents. Then the next part is now they got different problems. They got client here, they got spouse here, they got kid problems, they got exercise problems, it's like all the other things. And now that it's a real culture, like we're bringing them into the fold. Like, this is what we've done in the past. Like, this has worked for us. Like, they can't get that from most brokers or so.
Yeah. You said a key word. I mean, you said it a couple times throughout the conversation is culture, and really the emphasis on creating and building and designing the culture that you guys want for people to grow and succeed. What is, somebody coming on board with you guys, what, like, the whole objective and intent that you have for someone, like, what is it that, hey, you come into this culture, here's what we want to deliver. Here's what our promise is to you. What is that promise? What is it when somebody comes on board that you want to help them accomplish?
I think the first thing, like, take it in steps, right? But the first thing is to make them successful in real estate, right? So as long as they're willing to put in the work, we're going to train them. And then, really it's to get them successful, right, in real estate. And then you layer on the other things like, life and whatnot. But the focus right off the bat is ramp up your real estate knowledge and how to build your business.
Yeah. Money in the bank account, then everything else is a little bit easier.
It is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some money flowing. That definitely keeps everybody, excited for sure. All right. So I know, you guys are, anytime we get together, like, hey, what's the beer of choice? So what are some good beers that you guys have had lately?
The best one I've had lately, I had last week, is this place in town called Forager. It's a local brewery, and it's pudding dribbles.
What?
And they take out the water to start off with. It doesn't have water in it. It starts with maple syrup. Okay.
All right.
Then they have cocoa nibs. It's a stout, so it's brewed like a stout. And they take crystallized like marshmallows or something. It's really thick beer, but it tastes like you ate a campfire. Campfire with like pancakes.
Well, I'll take your word for it. How about that? Oh.
Yeah. Dan goes way farther into the making of the beer than I do.
Yeah.
I love meeting past clients or like business meetings at happy hour.
Yeah.
It lowers that bar with people, and you can connect with them one-to-one a lot easier. And, whatever the brewery has that they say is good they're usually correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is pretty amazing because when I met this guy, he only drank one beer, Budweiser. That was
Budweiser.
That's
heavy?
it. What?
That Budweiser heavy? Red can?
Yeah. Heavy. That's all I drank. Not to try anything.
Is the train coming?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys. I can't wait to get together and have some of those off the wall beers and really lower that out. I may have to change coffee and coaching to cocktails and coaching. That might be a little more fun for sure.
There's some good creamers out there.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Like Bailey's.
Yeah. Some Bailey's.
Jackson Morgan. Yeah.
There you go. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping in and adding a ton of value. I'm super excited for you guys into the future. I know it's been a journey and definitely still in pursuit of the destination. And I know without a doubt, working together, you guys are able to go faster. So it's really cool to see. And
we greatly appreciate you, John. You've done tremendous stuff for realistically, I don't think we'd be here without you.
So, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks,
that.
John.
Yeah. Thank you. Next time we do this, it'll be over cocktails, over beer.
Deal.
Deal. Awesome. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you get a chance, man. Connect with Kyle and Dan. They're doing some awesome stuff there in Rochester. The team's growing and definitely a wealth of knowledge all the way around, from production to team building to life. And it's It's pretty awesome. So thank you guys. Thanks guys.
Thanks, John.
See ya.
Thanks, John.
See ya.
See you.